Hello, everybody. This is Elterox, and I'm going to be making a sequel to my first video, which was the 1936 elections in a world where FDR was assassinated in 1933. So I am making a sequel to that, which is the 1940 elections. And yeah, I'm just going to give you some background. So the candidates are Harry Byrd representing the Democrats. They're Charles McNary representing the Republicans. I chose him as their candidate. He was vice presidential candidate, and I try not to be like, oh, if this person ran in our timeline, then they must run in this. I'm just saying he would run because he was from Oregon, which in this timeline voted Republican in 1936, and a lot of it because it was like he was the quote unquote compromise candidate, Landon. So McNary would probably they'd want to replicate that. Then there would be Harold Ickes, who would be the incumbent for the New Deal Party. When I was researching some stuff about him, I actually found out that he once tried to allow many Jewish refugees in from Germany and make them settle Alaska. So I think at this timeline he would be able to do that, but he would barely pass the law. The major issues of this election would be the economy and whether to participate in World War II, which probably wouldn't be known as that at this time, and it wouldn't start exactly the same way, but there was confrontation was bound to happen between France and Britain and the Germans. So Ickes would be totally against getting into the war in any way, and would want to continue progressive reforms of the New Deal. McNary, who by the way his VP, I'm just gonna say, is Warren Austin, because McNary actually died of cancer during his term. So during what his term would be, and with the added stress of becoming president, I feel his health would probably give in, but So remember that if the next election there's Austin involved, it's because he would be incumbent, because he would have taken up power over McNary. So yeah, McNary, he would be for the Lend-Lease. And in 1941, actually, in February, there was a Gallup poll that said, I don't know if it was Gallup poll, but yeah, they did a poll, and 54% of the American populace was for it. So I'm sorry if my voice sounds weird, it's because I have a bad cold. And Byrd would be totally for involvement in the war and would want to repeal the New Deal. Oh yeah, McNary, he'd want to not make any new New Deal policies, but wouldn't repeal anything. In this election, there'd probably be a few third parties, such as the Socialist Party would probably run Norman Thomas again, and I'm guessing there would be some sort of fringe American Fascist Party running Pelly. I forget his name, William, I think. I'm not sure. So yeah, let's start this off. As you know, I'm going to be doing it in unlike smaller states, usually first with a president for the East Coast, like how election results would come in. So first things first, Vermont would definitely, in a landslide, vote Republican, followed closely by New Hampshire. Florida would definitely vote Democrat, because Southern conservatives would go out for Byrd. This time, Florida was a much more conservative state. and New Hampshire and Vermont would go for the Republicans because they usually didn't. Like, they usually, like, and the VP was from Vermont and the Republican VP. So, yeah, and they were, like, pretty, like, liberal, but not super liberal states. And by, not, they were, like, moderate states. Because they weren't technically, like, super liberal, but not liberal. Sorry, I got, like, very little sleep last night, so. Delaware would go for the Republicans because I feel like not a lot of people would be going for Byrd because his positions would be unpopular. So, like, to get involved in the war, there's still a lot of people wary of doing that, and Delaware was like it wasn't exactly a southern state, and not exactly a northern one. Well, it was a northern state at this time, but so yeah, I'm gonna say that would go to the Republicans. Same with Maine. I think that West Virginia would solidly go for the New Deal because, the New Deal would have really helped them. And South Carolina would have gone for Byrd. Rhode Island would have gone Republican because I feel like, again, McNary was a moderate, so could reach out to many people, and many people preferred giving at least some aid to the Allies, if not, like, not openly joining the war, but helping out Britain and France would be something that many people would want. I feel that Connecticut would go for the New Deal because of LaGuardia's endorsement of Ix. And Mississippi and Alabama, I feel, would definitely, these are definitely in the Democratic pocket. Same with Tennessee and Georgia. I think Maryland would vote Republican for similar reasons to Delaware. Like, although they liked the New Deal and it helped them, they would also be they could see that the Lend-Lease would. I'm just gonna call it the Lend-Lease, although it probably wouldn't be called that. Would increase, like, would help their employment. I think that Arkansas would vote for Byrd, and Indiana would go McNary, as well as Iowa. And I was just looking for another state. A voter that I would think would vote for Republicans. I have, like, a list. I think Minnesota would also vote Republican. And Texas and Oklahoma would definitely go for for Byrd, as well as North Carolina. Oregon, I know I'm jumping around, but Oregon is solid. It's definitely in McNary's camp, as well as Washington. I think New Jersey would go X because of LaGuardia. And Virginia would probably go Byrd, because it is very southern, and although like many people would have wanted small amounts of the New Deal, like they wouldn't want as much as there would be. Kentucky, I feel, would go Republican because it would be like the middle ground, because there would be many Southern conservatives and many New Dealers who would just like come to an agreement. Well, like many of those people, those parties would choose to put their votes behind McNary. Michigan would go Republican. Kansas would go New Deal, as well as New York. Illinois would go New Deal, because as well as Wisconsin, because Illinois had like a lot of industry, as well as Wisconsin, and would have been hit hard by the Depression and would still be recovering. North Dakota would go New Deal. Probably because the reason they voted for them in the 36 election was because of Lemke's endorsement, and I feel that would still have sway, and also farming state would need the it would be a farming state, and many of the New Deal's programs helped farms. So they would probably want more. But South Dakota, I think, would go Republican, because these ones would be close, because it had already helped a lot. So many people wouldn't find the economy as dire. And without Lemke's endorsement, South Dakota would go Republican. Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and yeah, they would all go New Deal, as well as Nevada. But Utah would go Democrat because of the conservative Mormons. California would go for the Republicans, and Arizona and New Mexico would go Democrat. Massachusetts, I feel, would go. Oh. Sorry. No, dang it. Why can't I click on Massachusetts? There. Massachusetts would go Republican. As well as Ohio. Missouri would go Democrat. And Nebraska would vote Republican, although it would be closer. Idaho would vote Republican, although it would be close with the New Dealers. And Louisiana would go New Deal. So, Pennsylvania, I think, would go into the Republican camp, though. And McNary would win the election in the Electoral College. So, I'm probably going to continue this scenario. So, yeah. Goodbye.